Well, I figured this video was inevitable at some point. Hey guys, Sonic Smash right here, and I think it's about time I really sit down and talk about the current state of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links heading into the upcoming KC Cup. Let's be real, we all know what I have to say, but I'm going to try and go into a bit more detail than this. Other than just saying like, oh, Dragonic Contact is like the big problem. No, there's more elephants in the room than Dragonic Contact. That's just the biggest known one. So, with a bunch of stuff that's been added as of recently, ever since like Lyrilusk and Windwitch got added, things have gone from bad, starting with Tachyon, to improving to some degree, to back to bad with Lyrilusk getting added, because you know Nightingale was just a problem and a half, to worse. And I'm gonna be real with you, we all agree 2024 was the worst year for Duel Links by far. Which is a shame, because the year before it ended on such a high note. But, let's be real, the format as it is, we all know the elephants in the room. Let's start things off by mentioning, I don't think just nerfing Dragonic Neos is enough. I'll get into why in a moment. But one of the biggest things about the current format and the current state of, like, well, Yu-Gi-Oh! In general, you'll notice that second version of Dragonic Contact over there. I'll get to that in a moment. But, like, Dragonic Contact, if you can't tell, we can run way too much. I've already gone over most of what I feel like should have been nerfed about Dragonic Contact. I would like to correct at least a couple of things out the gate right now. It's no longer specifically level 4 lower warrior monsters as part of the deck restriction that I want to say. It's Elemental Hero, Neospatian, and monsters that mention Elemental Hero, Neos, or Neospatian in their tags. So this way we can still play like the Neospatian, we can still play the Crosskeeper if we really wanted to. And also still the level 10 monsters. I'm not sure if we want to keep Bell in here for like the Neos Wives and stuff, but nonetheless. But the other limits, I still think need to happen, like Crosskeeper, Liquid Soldier, Neos Fusion, all the three. I've thought about it, and regarding Rainbow Neos, if it has to go to 1, so be it. Because you just know, even if Dragonic Contact doesn't abuse it, you know somebody's going to find a way to abuse this anyway. This card is dumb. This card is just dumb, and Neos Fusion makes it even dumber. You may also notice that, yes, we do have Nova Master back in here instead of Gaia, because, well, Salamangreat got new stuff, and cool as it is to see Salamangreat back in some way, this is not how we wanted it. And no, I don't mean we wanted Gazelle or Roar off the list so we could play those again. No, never, please. So, here's the thing. How do you like getting 3 of this and 3 of this in your extra deck for free on command that cannot be banished by stuff like Silver Rocket for discarding any one card? This means you can fill up your extra deck with basically anything else. So, theoretically what you do is you just don't play either Duel Links, you don't play the Wolf, you just play all of these. And you're fine. Realistically, I think they should only add 1 of each, so you have to go like double Wolf and fricking maybe at 1 Duel Links. And also, I think you should just only be allowed to summon Salamangreat monsters, period, so you don't get the Flame Administrator, you don't get the Nightmare Phoenix, you don't get the Power Code Talker, although Power Code's kind of a meme. But nonetheless, Salamangreat's a thing again, and nobody wanted it to be. Now as for Predaplants, which I'm almost done working on, although Super Poly being in here is kind of a meme. Realistically, you'd play Hydra instead, and you just go, like, take out the Super Poly targets, like Dragon Necro, you take out Borlug Furious, you take out the Independent Nightingale, although that's just funny, and you take out the Escuridow. You take those out, you put in, like, Phoenix, Unicorn, Ensemble Robin, and maybe you play like another Amulet Melodus or freaking Dragos Depelia, I don't know. The point is, the fact that Predaplants can just run all this and essentially get a free, searchable Kaiju but better in Drosophilum Hydra, and then place a counter on your monster, both of which do skill effect, which you can't respond to. We had the unrespondable Trishula Zero taken away, and yet we still have unrespondable Drosophilum Hydra tribute. We still have unrespondable Super Poly off of Dragonic Neos, with Dragonic Contact being Dragonic Contact, and you know, that thing being a mess. So, like, realistically, real quick, let's just save this. Copy this over so I have a second version which shows the more optimal one, just so I can at least show what I'm talking about. Related cards. There we are. Take this out, take this out, take this out, and take this out. You run maybe like, I guess a second Amulet Melodus or something, I don't know. Link exceeds Fire, Dark, and Wind. We get Phoenix, we get Unicorn, and we get Ensemble Robin. And that's more or less what this would actually look like. So yeah, that's a thing, and it ties into something I want to talk about a little bit later. Lyrilusk, we all know Lyrilusk by now, we all know why that was a problem, and still is. I'll get to that in a moment, let me just take care of my headset. Searchable DD Crow, untargetable monsters, you name it, it's all there. I don't have enough of the full set of Recital Starlings, but oh well, you get the point. And the Independent Nightingales, and here's a meme. But the point is, these four decks together are basically, at one point they were the Unholy Trio, but now it's the Tier 0 format plus 3 decks. And these four are gatekeeping. What do I mean by that? Essentially, like, let's look at some other decks, like, say, Speedroid here, for example. Off of 2 cards, potentially, you get this, and one of these. And I finally do have a Prismatic Clearwing fast. So you get one of these two, Crystal Wing, and Stardust Warrior all in one turn. This is theoretically a really good end board. And it is a really good end board, don't get me wrong. Luna Lights, which I originally was working on at one point, still one of the queens of board breaking. Like, this thing was scary because its ability to break boards is just unlike any other. It's ridiculous. Now, I will say Pendulum Rebellion is just another problem in and of itself, but that's also because, you know, the skill was not, you know, play tested. Let's just say that. I'm trying to do something where it works as intended, but it's a little bit tricky. Suffice to say. Star Seraph is really as dumb as ever. You already know all the pain that Star Seraph has dealt out. And yes, I do put Archfiend Seraph in here just kind of like for the lol. Why not? Oh, let's see, what's another good example here? Sharks. I was working on Sharks at one point as well, although I really haven't done much with it at all. And theoretically, another really just good set of stuff. Like, just have good cards in general. Pretty solid end boards. These end boards are all really good from a lot of different decks, and Train's even got a new skill. I have basically nothing for it, but they got a new skill. Their end boards are pretty cool, for what it's worth. There's a huge problem, though. All these cool end boards, all this theory crafting we do, even with Morphtronics, which gotta glow up, and yes, I want to build that at some point, because you know me with 5Ds. Like, this all looks so cool in theory. In theory. That's the thing. So, why do I bring this up? Simple. None of it matters. And it's because Dragonic Neos, Salamangreat now, Predaplant, and Lyrilusk, if you take out all but even one of them, that one will still gatekeep every other deck out of the format. These four all need to go. Now, Salamangreat, I think less so. I don't think it's as problematic. That could just be me, though. It's really the skill that needs to be hit. The cards are fine where they are now. But, anyway. So, all of these need to be hit together. Because even all these cool end boards, like with stuff like Dragon Maid, as I've gushed over for having really good design so many times over. I love the Dragon Maid matchup no matter what I'm playing. It's just so fun every time. Like, that is peak Duel Links. Oh yeah, also Wind Witches. I was kind of working on Wind Witches, but also not really. It was just sort of there. I almost have it mostly built and ready to go. Like, all of this has some cool stuff. It just doesn't matter because, again, Salamangreat, Dragonic Neos, Lyrilusk, and Predaplant. This is the format we've been stuck in, folks. If you just take out Dragonic Contact, sure, the format's better, but these three are still running around ready to gatekeep everything else out of the format. And it's the same deal with, like, oh, you hit Lyrilusk, you hit Predaplant, maybe. As long as one of these four decks is around, as things are now, it is going to hard prevent most other decks, even with their good end boards, from seeing any sort of play. And it's finally time to do something about it. This is the kind of format where theoretically... Remember the Odd Eyes Orcus Speedroid days where, like, those were just kind of, like, way too good for their time? Even though Speedroid, I would say, was the weakest of the three, even though it was, like, really strong, because, you know, Clear Wing, Crystal Wing was still really difficult to get over at the time. But you get the idea. These kinds of formats, just... they're not fun. These kinds of formats where it's just like, oh, 4 decks and basically nothing else, or like 1 or 2 decks and basically nothing else. These are the kinds of formats that aren't really fun, and theoretically, like, these other decks can do good stuff, as I mentioned with Speedroid earlier. TG can still do some okay stuff, well, Technimus rather, full name for it, but the point is, all this good stuff that we can do doesn't matter because of the current stuff running around. So, how do we address all of it? Well, I already went over everything with Dragonic Neos, so I'm just going to skip, well, not so much skip over that, more like gloss over it and just get it out of the way. So, obviously, like, Liquid Soldier, Crosskeeper, Neos Fusion, all the 3. The skill needs to just now have you contain no monsters other than level 10 monsters. Elemental Hero monsters, Neospatian monsters, and monsters that mention either Elemental Hero Neos or Neospatian in their text. There's that as well. The skill effect, once per turn, twice per duel at the absolute most. The other nerf that I heard, and I think this is a really good idea now that I think about it, have them set the Super Poly or the Polymerization directly from the deck or outside of the deck. This way they don't get a free plus card for Armed Dragon level 10 base. Really good idea, actually, because that means we know where the Super Poly is, we can back row removal it, like, we can MST it, we can Cosmic it, we can bounce it with, like, a Dragon Maid downtime when we're playing Dragon Maid. It's like the Tachyon Dragon Domination thing when they made us set the Tachyon Transmigration. We know where it is, and we can force it or blow it up before it even gets a chance to be used. That's a good idea. There is one person who I think suggested the skill also needing to have you exclusively contain only 20 cards at the absolute most. That's a little bit stupid, personally. But I did come up with a way. If in the less than 1% chance that does happen, here, you can just do this. Now, granted, if Rainbow Neos goes to 1, I think you just take out the Rainbow Neos, and you play one less Rainbow Dragon, you just do Armed Dragon level 10 again. Or you do, like, you Bell, the Neos Wiseman package, you just take out, I guess, Neos Space Connector. Like, you can do Rainbow Dragon, Neos Space Connector. You play the U-Bell, you play the Neos Kludra in place of Rainbow Neos, and there you go. So, like, you do this. Do that. Do that. Related cards. Neos Wiseman. U-Bell. And you take out the Rainbow Neos. And you can still do it like this. Either way, this works. Also, the extra deck having to have only Elemental Hero or Neos Fusion Monsters with different names would help as well. So, like, you could do it like this and it'd still be fine. We're going to without saving here, because we don't really care about editing that. But yeah, there you go. There's another way you can do it if you have to do it that way. So, like, there's ways we can still do all this stuff, mind you. It's just that we don't get the complete and utter cheese that we have now. That's kind of like the main thing. We just need to heavily hit the skill and do a few limit 3s and maybe Rainbow Neos limit 1 probably. I don't know if that'll happen, but if it happens, so be it. We just take it out and just keep the Super Poly. And then there we go. So, like, Crosskeeper, Liquid Soldier, Rainbow Neos, not Rainbow Neos, Neos Fusion to 3, probably Rainbow Neos to 1, heavy nerfs to the skill, and we just go from there. Now, I'm going to save Lyrilusk for last, because that's, you know, something that is worth talking about on its own. Predaplants. Let's actually go ahead and show this from the more optimized version of the build. There's no getting around this at this point. I was considering trying to do everything I could to at least make it so that you don't have to worry about, you know, the opponent only controlling a monster placing a Predator counter, you know, being a part of the skill, because, you know, it's kind of in character for Yuri. It makes a lot of sense. But I think this finally has to go. I was considering, like, banning Drosophilum Hydra or limit 1ing, like, or making the skill have to wriggle 2 Predaplant monsters and having to search a level 4 or lower monster, or something like that. Just in general. But then they can just search the Drosophilum Hydra, and that would get annoying. So, I think just the going second effect probably has to go. I mean, obviously, you still probably should just have it being revealed to Predaplant monsters instead of, you know, like, Predap or Fusion guards. And that'd be fine. Although I still think Hydra probably should get banned. I'm not entirely, like, sure it's safe to keep in the game at this point. And also, I think the main deck should only contain Predaplant monsters, just in general if you're playing monsters at all. And extra deck must only contain Dark Fusion monsters, including Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, and at least 4 Predaplant monsters. So kind of like a Shooting Star Road situation. And also, for good measure, to make sure we don't get to keep Neos Fusion, Darlingtonian Cobra definitely the 3. I think well, actually, you don't even need to worry about Neos Fusion at that point if you're just making it so the main deck can only contain Predaplant monsters. I think at that point you're fine. I don't think you really need to do that. I mean, I guess you could do Darlingtonian Cobra to 3 to get some limit 3s out. That would work. Salamangre, I would go over that, but I think it's a little bit too new for me to know for certain, like, what needs to be hit. The one definite thing is the skill. Other than that, I'm not so sure. Like, if cards end up needing to be hit, so be it, but I think the skill is the bigger issue here completely. I don't know all the details of what could be hit. But then there's Lyrilisk. They already hit this before. And I'm gonna be honest with you folks. This may be the first instance of an ace monster getting outright banned. To where it's locked to the starting skill. Because, honestly, I don't think Nightingale can stay in the game anymore. Literally just saying, you can't lose this turn during the draw phase because you can't take battle damage. No. That's just no. I mean, if they errata it for Duel Links specifically, which they have done before, to where it's like you take half the battle damage, as long as you can overwhelm the field, you don't really mind too much. At least it would give some form of counterplay. But, anyway, with that said, yeah, I do think this could lead to Assembled Nightingale getting banned. Or, like, Cobalt Sparrow to 1, so at least we can target it and we can get rid of it, all that stuff. It's just kind of a thing, you know? This is the situation we're in, folks. This is just the situation we're in. And regarding the skill, for the most part, I don't think this skill is a problem. For the most part. The real problem, I think, is, like, Nightingale existing. I mean, yeah, milling Cobalt Sparrow to bring back with Barrel Canary or freaking Turquoise Warbler is annoying, but that's really about it. I don't know what else to say about this. This is just the situation we're in, and it's like, what can you do? What can you do? It's annoying, but oh well. I don't know. This is just kind of the situation we're in. Make of it what you will. So, that's probably what really needs to happen with these 4 decks in order to actually, like, bring the game more back to what it should be. Also, heavy nerfs to Pendulum Rebellion as a skill, requiring you to actually play, like, half your deck as, like, Performapal, On Eyes, or Magician Pendulum monsters. Once again, same deal with what they did with Automatic Wing Acceleration, locking you to those cards and making you have to play those cards, essentially. So you don't have the free Sky Striker stuff anymore. Gee, you ever notice that the skills, for the most part, are kind of the problem, with very few exceptions in terms of cards, like Roar or freaking Nightingale? Gee, I wonder why. Oh, man. But, that said, this is just personally what I think needs to happen with this format. A lot of it needs to change. A lot of it shouldn't have gotten to this point. But that's just where speed is for the KC Cup. Now, in terms of what I'm doing for King of Games this month coming up, because, you know, the season's about to reset later tonight, at the time of recording this. For speed, I'm not sure. For Rush, I did confirm Hyper Engine Vast Vulcan. That will be the next Rush King of Games. I will be trying to do what I can to at least get that done. But before I even consider profiling that, I've got a lot of grinding to do on Touhou Lost Word. Because, they finally revealed C3 Sakuya, and I'm not ready. I'm not even close to ready. I just have to hope my luck with EX Sakuya during that event comes in clutch again. But, that said, once these 4 decks get heavily, like, I wouldn't even say toned down, just obliterated, because it just needs to happen at this point. Again, maybe less so Salamangre, like, definitely at least heavily nerf the skill, and we'll see where things go from there, because it's too new to really hit any cards. Let's see where things go. Because I don't mind Salamangreat being good. I mind when the skill design is just a problem, like this is now. But that's kind of all I have to say on it. There really isn't much else to talk about with that. So, if I can get Vast Vulcan to King of Games first, I'll profile that before the Lost Word pulls happen. I'll probably be able to pull that off, actually, now that I think about it. But either way, do expect more pulls from Touhou Lost Word for me in the future, if, you know, everything records right on that day. And we'll see where things go from there. So, until the next video, whichever of the two it'll be. Later, guys.